Well, hello again and welcome to another day trip at Daz. And in marked contrast to the last episode, the hustle and bustle of Brixham Harbour, this week I've brought you to a place on the south coast of England called Slapton. There's a significance to that because today is quite a special day. It's actually VE Day, so it's Victory in Europe. A day when 80 years ago people of Britain woke to the sound on their wireless of Winston Churchill declaring the end of World War II in Europe. And the reason I brought you down here today is because something we're going to go and see a little bit later on is a very poignant memorial which very much played its part in World War II, in particular the D-Day landings. And we're going to go and see that shortly. But I just thought I'd start off in the quiet village of Slapton itself, and I say it's quiet. Listen to the sound of those birds. I mean, they're really at it, aren't they? Fantastic. There might be a reason for that. Not only does Slapton have the poignant war memorial, which we'll see a little bit later on, but also it has the southwest of England's largest freshwater inland lake. And I think it makes for a habitat, listen to them, a habitat for wildlife around here, which really is quite spectacular. So as I say, I thought we'd start in the village today and have a look around here. It's a beautiful little part of the world and it's very serene. And like I say, you won't see any roller coasters around here today. You might see someone eating fish and chips. So let's wander a little bit further into the village. You don't get shops like this in big towns, ones that show pictures of what Slapton itself would have looked like back in the day. As we head off further into the village, it's a lovely day here. I was mentioning to you about there's the Slapton Gospel Hall, offering us all hope, something that's very much needed at this day and time, like you do. But yeah, the Slapton Lee, which is that large inland waterway which is home for dozens of species of rare birds and wildlife, and we'll have a look at that a little bit later on. You'll notice as we started the programme, they've still got pneumatic drills around here, have they? When we started this programme today, you probably noticed that I started on a ferry. Now that ferry was in a town called Dartmouth. And Dartmouth is famous home for the Dartmouth Royal Naval College, and we're going to do a special on Dartmouth, and I'm waiting really for the regatta week to start because I think that'll be the most interesting time to go around there. Some lovely little churchyards there, and also I thought I'd take this opportunity to tell you, while we've got a little bit of an opportunity to speak, that the next episode I think should be really good, and it'll be in marked contrast to this one, because on the next episode we're going off to Exeter, and the reason we're going up there is it coincides with the Exeter Pride Festival, which I think should be really good. But also we've got plans to do some kayaking up a canal, which should be amazing. We'll have a walk around the grounds of Exeter Cathedral and find other things to do up there. So oh hello. So there are some noisy things down in this quiet little village. One of the other things we're going to do is walk around the grounds of Exeter Cathedral. We'll walk around the quay, which would be good, and we'll definitely have a pint or two when we get in there. And look at this, isn't that beautiful? And then finally we'll end up at the Pride Festival itself, and I think late in the afternoon they have a parade, so that should make it a really interesting episode. And like I say, stark contrast to the location I've come to today. But I came down here specifically because it is a VE Day, and we are going to look at a war memorial in a moment that I think is particularly special, and something that very much plays its part in the history of World War II. So I found a really interesting building here in Slapton, slap bang in the middle of Slapton, and this place is called the Tower. and that looks just the sort of place I'd like to explore. But it does look to me like it's actually in part of someone's private garden. So at the moment, apart from the crows, there's nobody going to be going in there. Do you know what? One of the things I noticed about coming to this rather beautiful, peaceful village is that one thing that makes it stand out, you know, when you go to a city and you get those park and ride places, well, here they got something very similar, but it's a park and walk. So that's novel, isn't it? So that's what we've done. Okay, so that's the beautiful village of Slapton. There's 2 or 3 really nice pubs here, include one called The Tower, which is right behind the tower. And if you want to go and have a pint and something to eat, then good luck with that. But we're going to head off now down to the actual Slapton Sands, and that's where we're going to see the memorial to World War II. So I just thought we'd stop for a second with the background of the birds once again, crowing in the background. I found a plaque here which actually tells me a little bit about that tower we saw just now. Apparently it's the tower of the Chantry of St Mary's, which was founded by Sir Guy de Breen in 1373, but then was dissolved by Henry VIII in 1547. So there you go, there's a little bit about that there. Right, now as I promised, as we head out of the village, let's go down to Slapton Sands to the War Memorial. And so it's against the backdrop of Slapton Sands on the English Channel that we find the flags waving in this incredibly windy day. We are on a very windy coastline, as you can imagine. So we've got the flag of the UK, the Union flag, and next to it the Stars and Stripes of the United States. And the reason for that is this is the first of our 2 memorials we're going to see today on what is VE Day. This one was presented by the US Army to the people of Slapton because in 1944, when the operation to practice the D-Day landings was taking place here on Slapton Sands, the villagers gave up their houses and their lands. They were completely evacuated, and this led to the beach along here to be used for the practice of the D-Day landings in Normandy on Utah Beach. And the US Army were very grateful of it, and they erected this particular memorial to mark that occasion. And as the plaque itself says, that the activities of the local people contributed to the saving of many hundreds of lives, and was in no small measure of success towards the operation of the D-Day landings. So we're going to head up now in that direction. Oh, by the way, have a little look across the bay here. It's quite interesting. They call this Slapton Sands, but as you can see, it's very much not that sandy. It's quite pebbly, quite shingly, but very beautiful nonetheless. So we're going to head in that direction to see the second of our 2 war memorials. And just before we head up that way, just have a look in the distance there. I mentioned to you earlier on that there's a Slapton Lea, which is the natural water pond. It's the largest water lake inland in the southwest of England. I'll tell you a bit more about that one later on. So let's head up now to the other end of Slapton Sands. And so once again we see the flags of Great Britain and the United States fluttering away in this quite windy day, as we see the memorial to Operation Tiger. That was the operation that was led by the American troops as they were preparing for the D-Day landings. This is a Sherman tank, and the reason why this is here as a memorial is using the Slapton Sands as the preparation grounds for the landings in Normandy. They were using a lot of live ammunition, and they were using their own tanks to practice the landing on this beach, which they reckoned would be the closest thing to landing in Normandy itself. Sadly, there was an event which occurred in 1944 while they were out at sea preparing to do practice landings, when some German tornado boats or Schnellboats had made it into the area unbeknown to the Americans, and they torpedoed a lot of their vessels and they sank, and there was a loss of a lot of people at sea. Some estimates reckon it was about 450 lives were lost that day, and of course the tanks that were on board those landing craft, they will have gone down at sea. I think it was about 1984 they decided to raise one of those Sherman tanks, and they did that successfully, and here it lies today on Slapton Sands itself, and it acts as a poignant reminder that even when practicing warcraft, things can go wrong and tragedies happen. And it's rather sad, really, but I just thought it was quite poignant on this, which is VE Day, Victory in Europe, that we made it down to this memorial and have a look at this particular tank, which stays here now forever as a reminder of what happened that day. So welcome to Slapton Lee, and this is one of the viewpoints that you can come and observe this particular nature reserve. This part of Slapton is just on the other side of the Shingle beach, which runs in that direction. This goes on for apparently about 1.5 miles. It's the largest freshwater inland lake in the southwest of England, and it's a natural reserve. You can probably hear the sound of some of the birds in the background. Now, I'm told that this is a great place for those of you who like what do you call it, twitching, when you go out looking for birds. You can see apparently sandwich terns, don't eat them of course, swallows, starlings, there's blackcaps or water rails, kingfishers, chiffchaffs and long-tailed tits, and you can walk along the whole of the outside of this nature reserve, and I expect there's a few ducks around here as well, and maybe the odd seagull. So if you're a nature lover, this is a lovely place to come and visit Slapton Lee, and as I say, it goes on for about 1.5 miles down in that direction, and if you get to the other end of this, you could cross over the Lee and you can go into Slapton village itself and have a pint like you do. And of course, once again, I'm driving here today, so sadly I shan't be indulging in that, but I am definitely going to get fish and chips on this occasion, because I keep saying that and never do it, so we've got to definitely do it. And when we get down the other end of the Slapton Sands, I'm going to take you to what I think is the world's most stupid football pitch. So that's something we're going to have a look at later on. But right now we're going to do something a bit more touristy, and we're going to head along to the seafront, where hopefully it'll be a few people then milling around on this quite nice, if very blowy day. Off we go. So I've made it down to the seafront now of Slapton Sands, and I know also I am at the risk of being blown about a bit, so please put up with me for a little bit, but you have to see this particular view, because this gives us a great shot across Slapton Sands all the way down to the very far end. That's where that dodgy football pitch is. I'll show you that later on, and we can get a really good view across the bay here. This is where those D-Day landing exercises were taking place back in 1944, and obviously with the tragic consequences that had. But I thought, whilst I'm risking the wind here, it would be silly for me not to just show you this fantastic view across the bay here. Right, let's see if we can wander along here. So I mentioned to you the fact that today is VE Day, so that tells you that we're still in May, so it's still quite early in the season here. But famously, you can get really nice fish and chips here, and we're going to have some of that later on. But we'll just stroll along the seafront to see what else is happening down here. This is the Boathouse Cafe and Takeaway. You've got to have a pub, of course, if you come to this sort of seaside location. I didn't have to bring my car down, sadly, but there you go. So no beer for me today, but that's probably not a bad thing, is it? So there we go, pretty spectacular view across the bay. Now if you're coming down to Slapton, it's a small place. By the way, when they did those exercises in 1944, they apparently evacuated the entire village of all the local people, many of which had never even left the village ever before. And but you can come down here, and there's lots of other places to go to. Now there's a place just over in that direction there called Blackpool Sands. It's a lovely beach. It's a privately owned one. You do have to pay to go into it, but that's really nice. And if we go further down in that direction, you'll come to a town called Kingsbridge, which is like a sort of market town. And then eventually you can go down to Slapton, not Slapton, Salcombe, which is on the south coast, and that's a place where you have to be quite wealthy to live. In fact, most people who actually live there have got second homes. So actually they reckon the population is something like 90% people who have second homes down there. So if you're well off enough to do that, you might be watching it from Salcombe yourself this very day. There are some groups of people down here. Looks like they've come to visit the area and learn about the local history of this place. And out there is the English Channel, which I tell you what will be flipping code. And I can tell you what as well, there's nobody in the sea today tempting to have a swim. What I do know about this beach is just like a shingle beach, and if you do go swimming in it, it gets suddenly very deep. It drops off like all of a sudden, so you could be standing up to your knees one minute and it'll be above your head the next. So just mind that if you're going to go for a swim here. Right, let's have a stroll around, I think, the local village and see what we can see here in Slapton. So I've managed to scale the heights here of the village. When I say scale the heights, I guess we're not talking about walking on the high grounds of Borneo or somewhere, but still it's high enough up to get a really nice view across the bay here, and you really get to see the sands that stretch for probably a couple of miles at least, I would have thought. You can see Blackpool Sands there in the distance as well. And if you come along to the other side, we'll take a little walk around here. Lots of lovely houses and that, all nicely huddled together. To the other side here, there's a beach. And this looks pretty nice. We'll take a little stroll down here. I say little stroll, it's a fair old hike up. But there's a nice little beach here. Yeah, as I was saying earlier on, if you're coming here, you're probably going to use this as part of a tour of a variety of places rather than just come here on its own. Though there are a lot of holiday flats and cottages around the place that you can stay in. I've just seen one there with "on the beach" written on it, which is very nice, quite appropriate, because that there is a beach, as you do. And I think if you look in the distance there, you see Start Point, which is a rocky outcrop. And there's a village just a bit further down here which is falling into the sea, and I don't think many people live there nowadays, because for years it's just been crumbling away. There's a famous pub there, and it's just been disintegrating and getting less and less. I don't think there's any population there nowadays. Right, let's move on and see what else we can see in this very beautiful part of the world, which really is its selling point, its beauty. It's just a fantastic place. Let's see what else we can find. So you can't go very far here in Slapton without seeing reminders of this location's military past. And this says US Army 2175612. And this looks a pretty genuine article here. I also see some flags marking the VE Day, 8th of May 2025. And this is definitely a place for reminiscing of the events that happened there. But I want to take you across the road to what is the very end of the Slapton Lee, which is quite nice. And we're going to come and meet some friends of ours here at the Natural Reserve. Hello.
Hello.
Enjoying the ducks?
Hello,
They're a friendly bunch, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
There we go. Yeah, so this is the very edge of Slapton Lee. It is very much a sanctuary. There's so many different types of birds. See a swan there in the distance. Apparently this is a natural water lake, largest one in the southwest of England, and it's fed by lots of local streams. Oh, I nearly stepped on a duck then. Sorry, buddy. Be careful with that. Yes, it's fed by lots of local streams. There's an old Victorian pipeline which then leads from the lake itself into the sea. So I suppose that helps it keep a steady level of water within the actual lake here. And if you want to, you can walk all the way around this. I mean, I imagine if you took the entire circumference of this, it would take you quite a long time to do that. But it's quite stunning. In the distance there is Slapton village, and I think right now we're going to head up to there and see what we can see. Now you might be wondering why on earth I've taken you to what is a rather abandoned field. In fact, actually it's been left to grow over quite nicely. I'm sure the wildlife loves this quite a lot. But the reason I brought you here is I remember years ago when I was very young, this used to be the grounds of the Slapton Football Club. And as you can see, it ain't there anymore now, but this was a football pitch. And the reason I wanted to show you this is I'm actually holding the camera up straight now, so that will give you an idea of how slanted this football pitch would have been. And I used to think, how on earth did they ever manage to play a game of football on here on such a slanted hillside? And it must have been one of the wonkiest football grounds anywhere in the world, I would think. And it must have been, add that to the wind which blows gusts across here off the sea in the background, and I reckon it would have been quite a spectacle to have seen back when they were playing football here. Probably a bit sad that it's gone now though, really. Nobody's kicking balls around here anymore. They probably had to give up in the end because it was just so futile, I would imagine. Just have a look over there to the beach. Can't really see much behind some of the things here, but and it may be just as well that you can't see anything, because just down below here, if it still is a nudist beach. So we won't get too close today on that one there. And I'm keeping my clothes on, you'll be very pleased to hear. And as I did warn you, it does tell you that this is a naturist beach. Be aware that naturists use the beach to the left of the this particular block of toilets here down on the beach, as it were. So be warned if you're coming down here. So as we take a stroll, so it is, on the sands here at Slapton, we take a final view on this really fantastic open space down here. Hope you've enjoyed this particular episode. It's been a little bit different, particularly being VE Day. A reminder, next week on the next episode we'll be going to Exeter and there will be a Pride Festival on, so I think it'll be somewhat different than what we've seen here today. And also I've got a little something to tell you as well. I don't know if you've noticed at the beginning of every one of my programs there's a certain name that gets mentioned. You'll have seen it at the beginning of this one and all previous episodes. Next week is my 10th anniversary. Now that's not 10 years, that's my 10th episode. And to mark the occasion, I'm going to reveal to you and to the rest of the world exactly what that name refers to. So do look out for that as we go to Exeter on the next episode. If you've enjoyed this one, then please subscribe. I would really do appreciate it now. We've got a few more subscribers each time we do the last episode, so that's nice to see. Press the like button and I'll be really grateful for that. Anyway, for this week, from Slapton Sands, keeping my clothes on, I'll see you next time.